WCW vs nWo Takeover was a WCW European tour that stopped off in Oberhausen, Germany on the 21st of June 1997. The company were in Germany for 3 nights and the second show was taped for Germany's DSF sports channel. Brits who had analog Sky TV will remember DSF quite well, seeing as it could be picked up from the UK if you tuned your Sky box just right. And yes, you all remember those advertisements that were played during commercial breaks, you absolute dirty dogs. DSF was actually the only way folks in the UK could see some WCW pay-per-views because TNT didn't carry them over here and neither did Sky Box Office. But it felt like potluck if a pay-per-view would actually air, and instead you'd be sitting up late at night watching Big Tina advertise her dirty phone line rather than seeing WCW do battle with the nWo. As a teenager, it wasn't a terrible compromise, but I digress. Let's check out this whole show from start to end and let's see what a WCW European show looked like in 1997.
Oh, big Bratwurst.
The crowd goes absolutely crazy for the opening match. The big Bratwurst returns home as Alex Wright makes his way down to the ring to take on Hugh Morrus. Alex was a heel at this point, but he's wrestling babyface tonight in Germany, and the reaction he gets is absolutely insane. This is also the right spot on the card for Alex. If he wasn't going to be in the main event, then he most definitely should have opened up the show. And you quickly get reminded that this is a house show and both guys waste a lot of time before locking up. It's not really a waste of time for fans in attendance, but you know what I mean. Our main man Mark Curtis gets set up on the top turnbuckle because his services won't be needed. And our match begins with Alex bringing Morrus to the corner as the crowd chants for the big Bratwurst. Morrus gets in a cheap shot, but Alex comes right back with a few hip tosses and the crowd goes nuts for a Das Wunderkind dropkick. Morrus goes to the outside and Alex leads a chant in German that I don't understand, but I'm just going to pretend that everyone's calling Morrus a little bitch. Loads more stalling when the match resumes inside the ring. A test of strength gets teased and look at Alex avoiding the inevitable cheap shot. We're dealing with a professional here, ladies and gents. Das Wunderkind then complains about hair pulling, but Mark Curtis tells Alex to wise up, and Morrus then applies a top wrist lock that Alex bridges out of. The ref then has a word with Alex about hair pulling, but turnabout's fair play, I guess. Alex gets steamrolled with a big old shoulder block, and we once again get reminded that this is a house show thanks to a headlock that seems to last forever. Alex gets out and he puts Morrus down with a monkey flip, and another dropkick sends Morrus to the outside again as the German audience show their support for Das Wunderkind. The cameras then totally miss a plancha from Alex, and just on that note, I don't think it's WCW's production team in charge of this event. The camera cuts are different on this show and it just doesn't feel like a Nitro or pay-per-view event in terms of presentation. We also have the worst ring apron design in the history of wrestling, but anyway, we get back inside the ropes where Alex performs a defensive roll for absolutely no reason at all. He pays for this by getting his Bratwurst smashed into a million little pieces, and there we go. If you're going to waste time, do it with a chinlock. Alex takes a knee to the midsection next, and then we go straight to chinlock number 2. Unfortunately though, we won't be seeing number 3. Alex breaks free, he puts Morrus down with a crossbody, Morrus replies with a clothesline followed by a pop-up powerbomb, and Hugh Morrus looks to end it with a no laughing matter moonsault, but Alex moves out of the way. A spinning wheel kick's enough to put Morrus down for the 1, 2, 3, and Alex wins at WCW vs nWo Takeover. Honestly, I think this crowd could have watched Alex wrestle all night, but they have been well set up now for a night of WCW action. Next up, it's Madusa vs Luna Vachon, and this is quite interesting seeing as Luna's WCW run during this time didn't really provide fans with many matches to watch. The fans are throwing flowers at Madusa's feet, but Luna cares not for such pleasantries, and the flowers get smashed at the opening bell along with Madusa's face. Madusa gets thrown around the ring for a bit, but she comes back with a few nice arm drag takedowns. Luna then takes a quick break on the outside. Madusa gets dragged out of the ring, but she takes advantage when Luna turns her back, and then a failed second rope leg drop from Madusa gives Luna the upper hand. Vachon then squeezes her opponent's belly, which is something I've never seen before in a wrestling match. We then see a unique DDT and pin combo from Luna that again I don't think I've ever seen before. Luna keeps the pressure on with a gut-wrench suplex, and Madusa then takes a Samoan drop. It's a shame that WCW would abandon women's wrestling really, because this just isn't good stuff, but the competition had virtually no women competing on their shows at the time. After taking a body slam, Madusa slides out of a pin attempt and Luna takes a clothesline. Madusa then walks around the ring a little before slamming Luna to the mat, and she stops Luna from gaining momentum with one more clothesline before applying an armbar. A phone number gets advertised while Madusa continues working over the arm, the first of many during this broadcast. Luna then begins fighting back with a clothesline of her own, but Madusa gets a chance to pull off a top rope arm whip and she botches it. She botches it pretty badly. I think this was supposed to be the setup for the finish because seconds later Madusa pulls off her German suplex to win the match. So yeah, look over that mistake and you've got an okay match here. It's nothing spectacular or anything, but again, it was just good that women were having proper athletic matches on WCW during this time period. Madusa wants to flash the audience, but there's a few ladies in the crowd showing their displeasure. We'll have none of this smut in Germany. Thank you very much.
Achtung, baby! That's right, Diamond Dallas Page here.
Achtung, sagt er an. Er ist hier.
DDP. Standing tall, looking good, ought to be in Hollywood. But I'm not. I'm right here, live in Oberhausen. And that's where I want to be because Germany right now is hot with WCW. And coming here to Oberhausen, I feel like it's a Nitro coming in. And when I think of Nitro, the first thing that comes to my mind is New Orleans in the Superdome when Scott Hall and Kevin Nash climbed over the top rope to give Diamond Dallas Page the NWO shirt. I put it on. I took Hall's hand. Bang! Diamond cutter. Bottom line is Hall went over the top rope, and from then on, it was DDP and the NWO at odds. As Nitros went on went the NWO on Diamond Dallas Page. I remember the whole group, Hogan, Savage, Hall, Nash, all coming to take me out at Nitro. But Sting flew across the rafters, dropped to the ground, and threw DDP the bat, showing me that now WCW and the Stinger were with Diamond Dallas Page. So here in Oberhausen, one more obstacle comes my way, and that's Michael Wallstreet, who was in the NWO, but now anti-WCW. Wallstreet, I got two words for you, and they are Diamond Cutter. Bang!
What a treat we've got next. The Steiner Brothers versus Harlem Heat. Going to be interesting to see if these guys go full force in this match or if they take it easy, seeing as this is a show for German fans only. Booker T and Scott begin our match and Booker's looking confident in the early going. However, a clothesline sends Booker to the outside and Rick takes care of Stevie Ray. We miss Rick hitting Stevie with a clothesline, but the Steiners take charge and Harlem Heat need to rethink their strategy. Rick then tags in, as does Stevie Ray, and the DFG gets pummeled. Rick also takes a clothesline and Stevie celebrates afterwards, but we then see a power slam from Rick and Scotty comes in to soften up Stevie's arm a bit. A poke to the eye stuns Scotty and he ends up taking a backbreaker, but he's able to tag out after a clothesline and he and brother Rick make a wish after Rick gets tagged in. We see some chinlock action from the dog-faced gremlin and Stevie tags out once he gets to his feet. Booker annihilates Rick after getting tagged in, and from here we're going to go into familiar territory as the Steiner brothers begin to build up towards a hot tag. Rick gets choked out by both Booker and Stevie, but he gets a break after hitting Booker with a Steiner line. Booker keeps Rick away from his corner, but it looks like he's hurt his knee following a leapfrog. This was just really a long-winded ploy though to get Rick Steiner out of the ring. Rick takes a kick to the face before Scott comes over to help out his brother. Our match then gets back in the ring where we see some classic heel tactics from Harlem Heat that help them keep their advantage. We see a chinlock from Stevie Ray and our main man looks extremely pleased with himself as he applies the hold. Rick fights out and we see another power slam from the dog-faced gremlin, but he's unable to tag out as the crowd get anxious for Big Papa Pump to get inside the ring. Booker T drops a knee on Rick, Steve chokes Rick out at the corner, Scott gets more angry as Harlem Heat control the match, and he gets really angry when Rick tags out but the referee doesn't see it. It's not like our guy Mark Curtis to miss a tag, so I'll give him a pass here. Chinlock number 2 from Stevie Ray makes the fans in Germany go absolutely crazy, and when Rick frees himself, he goes for a cover. Mark Curtis was too busy keeping Scott in his corner, and Booker's able to kick out before Rick goes down again after a hard clothesline. There's a Harlem sidekick right there from Booker T. He goes for a spinning back kick, but Rick counters with a suplex. The fans are now desperate to see Big Papa Pump in action, and they don't have to wait any longer as Rick tags out. Scott gets a good pop here as he delivers clotheslines to both Booker and Stevie. He then hits a double underhook powerbomb on Booker before telling his brother to go up for a Steiner Bulldog. Stevie's able to get his brother down after kicking Scott in the midsection, and Booker then tries to end the match with a diving knee drop. Rick moves out of the way, we see the Bulldog, and the Steiner Brothers defeat Harlem Heat in a decent tag team match. Again, it was nothing spectacular. These matches so far have been like a step down from pay-per-view encounters, but a step up from what we'd see on Nitro. Dean Malenko versus Rey Mysterio. No matter what country these guys wrestle in, and no matter what promotion they're wrestling for, you know this is going to be good. Rey's wearing some German colours tonight. He shakes Dean's hand before the opening bell. We get a few lockups at the very beginning of the match, and Dino Machino starts off extremely strong with a chin lock. Absolutely no time wasted in this one, folks. Dean's wristlock takedown gets followed up with a head scissor submission, and when Rey gets out, he puts pressure on Malenko's knees. Mysterio eventually lets his opponent go before finding himself in a wristlock, but we see more of that fantastic chain wrestling that these two were known for, and Mysterio finds himself on offense. He then takes a monkey flip and he almost didn't land on his feet, but Mysterio stays on his opponent with an impressive and possibly improvised leg takedown, and Dean finds himself on the outside. Mysterio feigns a 619 before heading back to his corner, and Dean takes his time getting back inside the ropes. A test of strength ends with Rey getting locked in a single leg crab. Dean keeps this applied for an extended period of time while adding more and more pressure. He then performs a big vertical suplex before stretching Rey out, but Mysterio frees himself with a mule kick before Stinko Malenko goes straight back in the driver's seat. Malenko pulls off an insane gutbuster that forces Rey to the outside. Rey takes a breather before getting back in the ring, only to take a seriously hard powerbomb. When the two get up, Rey tries his best to steal a pinfall victory, but he ends up getting wiped out with a clothesline, and the Iceman applies a camel clutch as yet another hotline gets advertised on the screen. nWo Top Hot. Pretty sure all these phone numbers have been different, so I'm guessing DSF were making bank here. The crowd gasp as Dean launches Rey into the air, but Mysterio isn't out yet. He kicks out of Dean's follow-up covers, only to find himself in another stretch hold. Rey tries his best to counter, and again he's trying his best to steal a pinfall win, but Dean hits a backbreaker before locking in one of the most impressive sleeper holds I've ever seen in my life. The way he brought Rey down was fantastic, and it's really these little things that make guys like Mysterio and Dean stand out among the rest. This was so good that Dean decided to do it twice, though I think the first time was a bit more smooth. Rey's finally able to break out when he throws Dean out of the ring. We then see a springboard seated senton from Mysterio that excites the crowd. Malenko catches Rey though and he tries a springboard moonsault back inside the ring, but Rey throws his opponent into the corner, and unfortunately he loses his footing when Dean launches him up to the top turnbuckle. His corkscrew moonsault also missed, and this is a real shame because everything was so perfect up until this point. Still, it really doesn't matter because this match has been fantastic so far, and it continues on with a big Alabama slam from Dean Malenko. The two then go through a pretty awesome set of pin counters before getting a round of applause from the audience, and when the competitors get back up, Rey goes for a Hurricane Rana that gets countered with a Boston Crab. Rey struggles here, but he does make it to the ropes, so Dean applies a surfboard that he breaks himself in order to cover Rey. I'm lost for words here, all I can say is this has been brilliant. Rey counters a power slam attempt by shifting his weight mid-turn, but Dean knocks him down again with a clothesline. Malenko then looks for a top rope move, and it's over, guys. I'm actually sad that this match had to end. But Rey manages to hit a top rope Hurricane Rana for the pinfall victory, and this match absolutely makes this show worth watching. This is the first time I've ever seen this, and I'm shocked it's not talked about more often. I don't know if it's due to this event being a European exclusive and maybe it just flies under the radar, but believe me when I say this was extremely good, and I hope it gets more recognition after this video goes live. This was and still is a real hidden gem. We see some footage of the arena getting set up earlier today, which reinforces the fact that WCW weren't responsible for producing this show. You never see this on WCW events, and I do enjoy watching things like this, as weird as that may sound. It's the side of pro wrestling we never see, and the crews who work at these shows never get any credit, so it's nice to see what they do and how a show comes together. We also see footage of an Outsiders autograph signing, and it looks like the boys had a big turnout. And back in the arena, a few prizes are given out to fans in attendance. I've no idea what's being said here, and I've no idea what the prizes are, but it looks like the fans are getting some sort of DSF package. Congratulations, I guess. This girl doesn't look happy at all with her swag, but turn that frown upside down, little lady, because Diamond Dallas Page is in the arena and he's taking on Michael Wallstreet. Wallstreet totally had DDP's number as the match got underway. He brings Dallas to the ropes, he delivers an arm drag takedown, he also applies a wrist lock, but DDP counters and Wallstreet makes it to the ropes. A hair pull puts Dallas on the canvas and Page sees red. He launches an attack that the referee has to break up, but he still kicks Michael's hole before backing off. DDP softens up the arm and shoulder before failing to hit his diamond cutter. Wallstreet takes a quick break while DSF spams viewers with more hotline numbers. We see a few headlocks from Dallas before he puts Wallstreet down with a swinging neck breaker. And when Michael goes to the outside to complain to the cameraman, Page delivers a plancha. Wallstreet uses the ropes to crotch DDP, and we end up on the outside again where Michael takes a shot at the guardrail. He regains the advantage though, and he tries to cheat when covering Dallas, but Page kicks out only to find himself in a deadly chinlock. Plenty of chinlocks in this show, so fans definitely got their money's worth. Dallas takes a backbreaker before Wallstreet applies an abdominal stretch. Page gets out with a hip toss before hitting an inverted atomic drop and a pancake. And the match ends when Wallstreet goes for a body slam and Dallas counters with a diamond cutter. This one actually did feel like a Nitro match, and we have seen better performances from both men. But fans in Germany didn't care, they just saw the diamond cutter and that's all that matters.
We just want to say greetings to all the nWo fans right here in Deutschland, because we know
Also schöne Grüße
that everybody
schöne
here
Grüße an alle
came
nWo-Fans
for
in
one
Deutschland.
reason. That's to see Kevin Nash
Und ihr seid natürlich
and
alle nur aus
Scott
einem
Hall,
Grund hierher
the
gekommen, um
Outsiders,
Kevin Nash und Scott Hall, die
take care of
Outsiders zu
that
sehen.
punk Lex Luger.
Denn wir werden
that
uns kümmern
big,
um diesen
ugly
Trottel Lex Luger und um den großen, hässlichen Giant.
You and I have been here before.
They
Das
love
spricht
to
an,
see
sie
it.
waren schon
We've wrestled
häufiger
each
hier und
other
sagen, hey, die
in
mögen
some
uns
of
ja
these
richtig
towns
hier.
around the beautiful, beautiful country of Deutschland.
I love Deutschland.
I love Deutschland.
Ja, und wir
too.
lieben
But you know
Deutschland.
what? Tonight, these lucky souls are going to
Und
get a
diese
chance to
glücklichen
see us
Seelen werden heute
together
Abend
for the
uns
first
beide
time.
zusammen sehen.
Stay tuned. Outsiders
Also
coming
bleibt
at you.
dran, denn die Outsiders werden
The
nachher noch kommen.
Outsiders, as everybody know, along with the nWo, are just too sweet.
The man called Meng takes on Chris Benoit in our semi-main event. Nancy's here with Chris, and this was just before she would take herself completely off TV. Meng, meanwhile, has Jimmy Hart in his corner, and just when I was wondering if these two would beat the hell out of each other for the sake of a show in Germany, my question gets immediately answered as Meng wrecks Benoit. Chris even grabs the ropes after an Irish whip so he can take a short break, and if it were me, I would have been at the airport already waiting to fly home. The two share a few kicks and Meng goes down after a dragon screw. He answers with a hard shoulder block, but when Benoit gets up, the Minger finds himself in a crossface. Meng shows off his strength by standing up while locked in Chris's finisher, and he sets Benoit on the top rope, and Chris gets slammed to the mat before taking a kick right to the face. This forces Benoit to the outside where he tries to buy himself some time, but when the match resumes, he goes straight on offense and the crowd pops when Meng takes a kicking in the corner. Benoit follows up with a few punches and a chop. He then tries an Irish whip, but he takes a belly-to-belly suplex for his efforts. The match then goes to the outside, and the guy controlling the lights goes a bit mental when Chris performs a dive. And Chris looks to hit a top rope move back in the ring, but he finds himself in the dreaded Tree of Woe. Meng lays the boots in, but the crowd are more excited with a Jimmy Hart and Woman confrontation on the outside. The crowd chant Woman as Meng hits Benoit with a pile driver. Benoit then gets attacked on the outside by Jimmy, and Meng kicks his opponent while he's down, but Benoit launches Meng into the guardrail and the Minger's now in trouble. Back in the ring, we see a snap suplex from Chris followed by a scoop slam. Chris then applies a single leg crab and Meng has a long struggle to the ring ropes. Chris then delivers a hard chop and Meng makes Benoit pay with a huge spine buster. While this is all going down, women shouting at Jimmy Hart and the fans are still cheering for Nancy. You love to see it. A Meng shoulder breaker gets followed up with a deadly nerve pinch. Chris breaks free and he tries a sunset flip. Meng stays on his feet and Benoit gets kicked in the head. And the second nerve pinch looks even more deadly than the first. German suplex from Chris, hook clothesline from Chris. Meng dodges a corner charge and this allows Benoit to perform another German suplex, but again he pays for this with a spine buster from Meng. Meng goes up for a big splash but Chris moves out of the way, so Benoit delivers a diving headbutt before locking in the crossface. Our match ends when Jimmy Hart gets on the apron and Meng inadvertently knocks him down. Chris rolls Meng up and Chris Benoit wins via pinfall. To their credit, the competitors went pretty hard in this one. This could have been on a standard pay-per-view and I don't think anyone would have complained. Mysterio vs Malenko is still the match of the night for me, but this wasn't bad at all either.
Hier ist Lex Luger.
No, it's been over a year now. The nWo has been trying to take over WCW. We've had to chase them from every corner, from the US all the way to Deutschland. And now we're ready, because we're sick and tired of them punking out WCW. It's time for the Giant and myself as a tag team to set the tone. WCW has always been #1, it always will be, and it's payback time for the nWo. Isn't that right, big man?
Es ist jetzt die Zeit.
Guten Tag, Germany!
This is the Giant. This is my partner, Lex Luger.
Also das ist der Giant und das ist mein Partner Lex Luger.
Because when Lex and I come to the ring, we've got two things in store.
Und wir haben zwei Sachen, die wir euch zeigen wollen. Wir haben einmal den Torch Rack und auf der anderen Seite haben wir den Chokeslam.
Nothing more. So ready
Nicht
or
weniger
not,
und auch nicht mehr.
here we come.
Also hier kommen wir und das ist eine deutliche...
The main event of WCW vs nWo Takeover is a tag team encounter. Lex Luger and The Giant vs The Outsiders, Scott Hall and Kevin Nash. Now, gonna be honest, I knew about this before watching the show thanks to OSW, and I think many of you may know about this too. But during the nWo's entrance, some poor guy had to grab a microphone and do the little nWo soundbites because I'm guessing WCW didn't provide DSF with their usual soundboard. Have a listen to this.
New World Order. For life.
I have no idea why they felt it was necessary to include the soundbites, and I'm guessing they felt it would make the entrance feel more authentic or something, but it has the complete opposite effect, and it's one of the most unintentionally hilarious entrances I've ever seen.
New World Order. For life.
Fucking hell. The Outsiders get a great reaction and so does their opponents for this main event match. A game of rock, paper, scissors leads to Scott Hall starting the match off, and in the opposite corner we've got Flexi Lexi starting off for Team WCW. Scott tells Mr. Luger he's going to throw him out of the ring like a piece of garbage. He then lines Lex up for the toothpick and he botches it. I've never seen Scott Hall miss a toothpick throw, and Scott even acknowledges that this was a botch. He seems just as surprised as I am. The two lock up and Lex gives a clean break. The bad guy gets a little advice from Big Sexy before the two lock up again. The crowd chant Lex's name and Scott gets shoved in the corner, but Scott goes to work on the arm and shoulder before bringing Lex down with an arm bar. Lex gets paintbrushed on the canvas before getting up to apply a wrist lock. He gets poked in the eye, but he's still able to knock Scott down with a forearm shot, and he gives Hall a little payback for that paintbrush earlier on. Scott decides to tag in Kev and Luger backs off a little. Kev runs in with a knee strike followed by a shot to Lex's neck, and we go to the corner for more knee strikes and, of course, a few back elbows. Nash then hits a corner clothesline, but Lex gets a boot up when Kev tries for a second, and the total package then hits clotheslines on both Outsiders before Big Kev takes the running forearm. Lex isn't showing a wide range of moves here, but the crowd are still eating it up. Scott provides an assist from the apron and Lex takes a big boot from Kev. Scott comes in to get in a few free shots and he taunts the Giant before tagging out again. Big Sexy chokes Lex out in the corner and Hall attacks once again from the apron. And when Hall comes back in, we've got Nash attacking from the apron, which the referee isn't too happy about. Nash acts comically oblivious. The quick tags continue as the Outsiders control the match. We see their usual abdominal stretch spot with Nash lending his partner a hand. This goes on for quite some time and the referee gets tired of the Outsiders cheating, so Randy Anderson intervenes and Luger pulls off a hip toss. Instead of tagging out, Lex misses an elbow drop, and this allows the Outsiders to continue cheating to maintain their advantage. Scott Hall applies a sleeper hold as the Giant continues to earn the easiest paycheck of his entire life. The sleeper stays applied for ages and Lex's sleeper afterwards stays in for even longer. It stays in so long that the crowd actually cheer for Scott Hall when he frees himself with a back suplex. Lex and Hall go down after a double clothesline. Hall's able to tag in Nash and Luger finally tags in the big man. The Giant destroys the Outsiders as the crowd goes nuts, but Michael Wallstreet's returned to help out Hall and Nash. When Giant goes for a double chokeslam, Wallstreet gets in the ring and I really shouldn't be surprised that this main event ended with a disqualification. Also, if you want to get a bit nerdy about this, Wallstreet wasn't even in the NWO at this point in time. His NWO contract was deemed null and void by JJ Dillon and so he was removed from the group. However, he did remain anti-WCW while not officially being in the New World Order. Kevin Nash powerbombs the Giant, which is always a sight to behold. Thankfully, he didn't drop the big man on his neck this time. And the show ends with a man called Sting running down to help Giant and Luger out. The reaction Sting gets is great as he hits a Scorpion Death Drop on Scott. He then hits a low blow on Nash. And the final move of the pay-per-view is another Scorpion Death Drop to Michael Wallstreet. I guess the folks in Germany got the authentic WCW experience with this main event, whether they wanted it or not. It played out just like the final match of a Nitro broadcast. This wasn't a bad show at all, and I've 100% seen way worse WCW pay-per-views coming from the United States. The main event was nothing special and a few of the matches did feel like fillers, but I'm really glad I watched this show because Rey Mysterio vs Dean Malenko was fantastic and I know it's a match I'm going to watch again. I said this earlier, but I don't know why that match isn't talked about more. But there you have it, a WCW show from Germany in 1997. Let me know your thoughts in the comments and I'll be sure to check out Millennium Final once we've passed that point in Reliving the War. Thanks for watching everyone, I do appreciate it, and please take care.